Mila dropped to one knee right there on the crowded Miami beach, the velvet box open as the ring caught the sunlight. My face drained of color while my family's icy glares burned into us from just feet away. The weight of years of carefully guarded secrets crashing down in that single moment. I stood frozen, the warm sand shifting under my feet as the ocean roared behind Mila like some mocking chorus. My name is Ophelia Harrington, and in Washington D.C.'s political consulting world, reputation was currency more valuable than gold. My family had spent decades building Harrington strategies into the firm that shaped policy for senators, governors, and even presidential hopefuls. I was their heir apparent, groomed from Yale through endless late nights drafting legislation that moved billions. A public declaration like this, especially with a woman, would torch every bridge I had crossed. Clients who funded conservative causes would bolt. The firm's upcoming merger with the elite Langley Group, the one that could cement my partnership in my father's legacy, would evaporate overnight. Mila looked up at me, her dark eyes fierce with the same determination that had first drawn me to her 2 years earlier. "Ophelia, will you marry me?" Her voice carried over the waves, clear and unafraid, while phones in the crowd started flashing. I reached down, my hand trembling as I pulled her to her feet. "Mila, not here," I whispered, but the words felt like betrayal even as they left my mouth. My mother's pearls clicked sharply as she stepped forward, her voice low and venomous. "Ophelia Grace Harrington, what on earth is this display?" My father's jaw tightened the way it did before he crushed opponents in boardrooms. My brother simply stared, phone already in hand, probably calculating the damage to our family name. The crowd murmured, some cheering awkwardly, others filming the drama they had stumbled into on vacation. I could already see the headlines forming. Harrington heiress caught in beach scandal. Mila's face shifted from hope to hurt in a heartbeat, but she kept her posture straight, the strategist in her refusing to crumble in public. We had built our love in shadows, stolen kisses in the back of town cars after strategy sessions, whispered plans over encrypted apps during campaign crises. She had been my rival first, the brilliant new hire who challenged every proposal I made on the Anderson Senate race. Late nights turned into something neither of us expected, but we swore secrecy because ambition demanded it. One leak and rivals would use it to steal clients, tank promotions, or worse. My family closed ranks, guiding me away from the beach while Mila stood alone for a moment, ring still clutched in her hand. "We'll discuss this at the villa," my father said, his tone leaving no room for argument. In the car, the silence was suffocating. My mother wiped tears that weren't from sadness, but from calculated disappointment. "Think of the firm, Ophelia. Think of your future." I nodded numbly, but inside the conflict raged. Mila had risked everything with this move, believing our love could survive the spotlight. I had spent years choosing survival over vulnerability, and now the consequence stared back at me in her wounded eyes. By evening, the villa felt like a war room. My father paced, listing lost contracts and damaged alliances. "This isn't just personal. It's professional suicide." I excused myself to text Mila. "I'm sorry. We'll talk when we're back." Her reply came fast. "Sorry isn't enough. We promised each other honesty." The word stung because she was right. Our secret had protected us, but her public kneel had triggered the exact chain reaction we had feared. Family ultimatums, office whispers waiting in D.C., and the slow erosion of the empire I had bled for. I lay awake that night, the ring she offered still burning in my memory, wondering how many more cold decisions I would have to make to keep the life I had built. The plane back to Reagan National the next morning carried us all in tense silence, the beach proposal already a shadow that would follow us into every boardroom and family dinner. The real storm was only beginning. Back in D.C., the rumors hit the firm like a political leak no one could contain. Colleagues glanced too long in the hallways of Harrington Strategies, their conversations dipping into silence whenever I passed. The beach photos had surfaced on a gossip site overnight, blurry but unmistakable. Mila kneeling, my family's rigid disapproval captured in the background. No names yet, but in our tight circle everyone knew. I sat at my desk on the 20th floor overlooking the Capitol, staring at the merger brief that could make or break my year-end bonus and my shot at senior partner. Mila's office was 3 doors down, and the distance between us felt wider than the Potomac. My phone buzzed with another call from my mother. "Your father spoke to the Langley partners." They're concerned about stability. Fix this before the vote next week. I hung up, the weight of legacy pressing harder. The firm was in the middle of pitching for the biggest defense contract in a decade, and any hint of personal instability could cost us millions. Mila and I had competed for the lead on this account, our secret nights fueling late strategy sessions where ideas flew like sparks. Now those same sparks threatened to burn everything. I scheduled a private meeting in the secure conference room, the one with soundproof walls we had used before for far more intimate reasons. When she walked in, her posture was all business, but her eyes held the pain from Miami. "You pulled me up like I was an intern making a mistake," she said quietly, closing the door. "I thought we were past hiding." I closed the blinds, heart racing. "You force my hand in front of my family and half of Miami. Do you know what that does to my position here?" We sat across the polished table, the same one where we had once mapped out a winning campaign while our hands brushed under folders. She leaned forward. "I'm tired of being your secret weapon, Ophelia. I love you, but I won't be the one you sacrifice every time ambition calls." Her words landed like a well-aimed opposition ad, true and devastating. I reached for her hand across the table, a small gesture that felt dangerous even here. "I love you too, but the merger vote is in 10 days. If we come out now, the Langleys pull out, and we both lose the partnership track." She pulled away gently, the first real distance she had ever created. "Then maybe I should stop protecting your image." The meeting ended with no resolution, only the growing fracture. That afternoon, a rival associate, Derek from research, cornered me in the break room. "Heard you had an interesting vacation." Family looked thrilled. His smirk told me the rumor mill was already grinding. I smiled coldly. "Family vacations are private, Derek. Focus on the brief if you want to stay relevant." But inside, panic rose. One leaked memo, one whispered call to a client, and my carefully built path would crumble. My father's text arrived during the afternoon strategy call. "Dinner tonight. Alone. We need to discuss damage control." At the family townhouse in Georgetown, the conversation was surgical. "Deny it publicly if asked. Say it was a misunderstanding, a joke between colleagues." I nodded, hating every word, but the logic was ironclad: protect the firm, protect the future. Mila texted later. "Saw the family car outside your place. Still choosing them." I didn't reply right away. The cause and effect chain was tightening. Her proposal had exposed the fault line, and now every decision I made widened it. Late that night, alone in my apartment, I replayed the beach moment. The love I felt for her was real, but the ambition that had defined my life demanded I keep it buried. I wondered how long that balance could last before one side consumed the other. The merger presentation loomed like a Senate confirmation hearing, and the office became a battlefield of whispered alliances. I stood at the head of the conference table, outlining our strategy for the Langley partners, my voice steady while my mind replayed Mila's words from our last private talk. She sat 3 seats down, contributing sharp insights that made the room nod in approval, but her eyes avoided mine. The tension was palpable, and I knew colleagues were watching for any crack. Derek had already planted seeds, asking pointed questions about personal distractions affecting team focus. After the meeting, I pulled Mila into the hallway. "We need to stay aligned on this account. It's bigger than us." She crossed her arms, the same posture my family had worn on the beach. "Aligned how?" "By pretending I'm just another consultant." Her voice was low, but the hurt was loud. I glanced around, ensuring no ears lingered. "By winning. If we land this, the partnership is ours. Then we can talk about next steps." She laughed softly, bitterly. "Next steps you control, right?" "Like always." The conversation ended with her walking away, leaving me with the echo of my own ambition. That night I reviewed campaign files alone, the empty chair across from me a reminder of how we used to work side by side, legs tangled under the desk in secret. Family pressure intensified with a Sunday brunch where my father laid out the new reality. The Langley board heard rumors. They want assurances of stability. If you can't provide them, the deal shifts to another team. My mother added, "Mila is talented, but she's not family. Choose wisely." I left the table with my appetite gone, the choice crystallizing into something cold and necessary. At the office the next day, When Derek suggested Mila be reassigned to a smaller project to reduce distractions, I didn't object. It was a small move, logical for optics, but the consequence hit when Mila received the email. She confronted me in the parking garage after hours. "You signed off on this? After everything?" Her voice cracked for the first time. I tried to explain. "It buys us time. The merger vote is tomorrow." She stepped closer, eyes searching mine. "Time for what?" More lies. The air between us felt charged with everything unsaid, but I held firm. "For survival." She turned and left, the garage echoing with the sound of her heels. The vote passed narrowly the next morning, but the victory tasted hollow. Mila's reassignment was approved, and whispers followed her down the hall. I had protected the firm, protected my path, but the cost was written in the distance growing between us. Late that evening, alone with the city lights, I stared at the ring she had offered me on the beach, now hidden in my desk drawer. The internal war between love and the empire I had built was no longer theoretical. Each step to safeguard my position created another irreversible loss, and I wondered if I was becoming the very strategist I had always feared, cold enough to win at any price. The promotion cycle hit like a contested election, and the firm narrowed the senior partner race to 3 names: mine, Mila's, and Derek's. The final project was a high-profile lobbying push for a major energy client, the kind that could lock in millions and secure the corner office. Mila and I were paired on the proposal despite the earlier reassignment, a decision that forced us into daily war room sessions where professionalism masked deeper fractures. She presented data with the same brilliance that had once made me fall for her, but now every chart felt like a reminder of what we had lost. During one late session after the rest of the team left, she closed her laptop and looked at me directly. "You distanced yourself at the beach. You let them reassign me. What's next?" Public denial if someone asks. I set my pen down, the weight of every family call and office glance pressing down. "I'm protecting us both. The client is conservative. One hint of our relationship and the contract vanishes." She stood gathering her files. "Protecting yourself, Ophelia. There's a difference." The door clicked shut behind her, leaving me with the echo of truth. The next morning, when the client requested a revised strategy that favored my original approach over Mila's bolder plan, I forwarded it without her input. It was a calculated move, logical for winning the account, but the consequence arrived in her email later that day: a formal complaint about team dynamics. My father called that evening. "Good move on the energy brief," Langley noticed. "Keep it up and the partnership is yours." The praise should have felt like victory, but it landed like ash. Mila confronted me in the elevator the next day, her voice tight. "You sidelined my section. After 2 years of covering for you in every crisis." I met her gaze, the confined space amplifying the pain. It was the stronger play for the client. "This isn't personal." She laughed once, sharp. "Everything between us is personal now." The doors opened on her floor, and she stepped out without another word. That night, alone in my apartment, I replayed the beach proposal in my mind, the hope in her eyes, the disapproval in my family's. Each decision I made to advance had created a new fracture, and the cumulative damage was becoming visible in the way colleagues now treated her as the weak link. The client presentation went flawlessly the following week, my revised strategy securing the contract. Derek congratulated me loudly in the hallway, his smile knowing. "Smart moves, Ophelia. Looks like the partnership race is yours to lose." Mila's office light stayed on late, but she didn't answer my text asking to talk. The cause was clear. My ambition had demanded loyalty to the firm over loyalty to her. The effect was a widening gulf that threatened to swallow the love we had fought to protect. I sat at my desk long after everyone left, staring at the city lights, realizing that survival in this world came with a price I was no longer sure I wanted to pay. The gala for the merged firm was the perfect stage for the final act, chandeliers glittering over senators, donors, and the Langley board. I stood in a tailored black gown, smiling for photos while my father introduced me as the future of Harrington Strategies. Mila arrived alone, stunning in deep crimson, her presence a quiet challenge that made heads turn. We had barely spoken since the energy client win, the silence between us heavier than any argument. The family ultimatum had arrived that morning: public denial or loss of the trust fund that funded my campaigns. Choose the firm, Ophelia. Choose us. During cocktails, Derek cornered me near the bar. Heard the board loves your leadership. Mila's numbers look strong too, though. Shame if personal issues affected her focus. His implication was clear, and I felt the familiar cold logic take over. When a board member asked about team dynamics, I answered carefully. Mila is talented, but we all know stability matters in this business. The words left my mouth before I could stop them. A small betrayal wrapped in professionalism. Mila overheard from across the room, her face tightening for a split second before she recovered with a practiced smile. Later, in a quiet alcove, she found me. Stability? That's what you call throwing me under the bus. Her voice was steady, but the pain was raw. I stood by you through every crisis. I proposed because I thought we were ready to fight together. I reached for her arm, the touch electric after weeks of distance. I'm trying to protect what we built. The board is watching. She stepped back, eyes glistening. By sacrificing me? That's not protection, Ophelia. That's survival at my expense. The music swelled in the background as guests mingled, oblivious to the fracture happening in plain sight. My father watched from across the room, nodding approval at my composure. The night ended with Mila leaving early, her crimson dress disappearing into the night like the last piece of color in my carefully gray world. Back at home, the ring from the beach sat on my nightstand, a reminder of the choice I had just made. Family calls came praising my gala performance. The firm's internal memo the next day listed me as the top candidate for partner. But the victory felt hollow. Mila's absence in the following days created a vacuum that no promotion could fill. Clients noticed the shift in team energy. The cause and effect chain I had started on that Miami beach had reached its breaking point. Each protective decision had isolated me further, turning love into a liability I could no longer afford. I stared at my reflection in the office window overlooking the Capitol, wondering how many more pieces of myself I would have to bury to keep climbing. The final board meeting decided everything. I presented the year-end results alone, Mila's name conspicuously absent from the lead credits. The partners applauded, the merger sealed, my partnership offer extended on the spot. My father shook my hand afterward, pride genuine for the first time in months. You made the right calls. The firm is stronger for it. I smiled, but the words rang empty. Mila had resigned quietly the day before, citing irreconcilable professional differences. No scene, no public fight. Just a clean exit that left me standing in the empty office she had once filled with ideas and laughter. I drove to her apartment that evening, the ring box heavy in my coat pocket. She opened the door, eyes guarded but steady. Congratulations on the partnership. You earned it. The simplicity of her words cut deeper than any accusation. Mila, I never wanted it to end like this. She stepped aside, letting me in. You chose every step of the way. The beach, the reassignment, the gala comment. Each one logical, each one necessary for your survival. We stood in the living room where we had once planned futures in whispers. I loved you enough to risk everything publicly. You loved the firm more. The truth hung between us, final and irreversible. I placed the ring on the table. I thought I could balance both. She picked it up, closing the box with a soft click. Love doesn't survive in the shadows forever, Ophelia. Not when ambition demands everything. I left without another word. The D.C. night air cold against my skin. The firm celebrated my promotion the next week with toasts and bonuses, but the victory carried the weight of every loss along the way. Family tension that never fully healed, colleagues who now feared my ruthlessness, and the quiet absence of the one person who had truly seen me. The empire I had saved stood intact. Yet the personal cost was a hollow core no title could fill. As I stood on the balcony of my new corner office, the Capitol glowing in the distance, I understood the full consequence of that beach proposal. Survival had demanded betrayal, and the pieces could never be put back together. True or false? In the brutal arena of power, true love is nothing but a dangerous weakness?